Over the years, the Holocaust has remained the leading example of how hate and prejudice have destroyed the world. More than 6 million Jewish people were murdered in this wide-scale mass genocide, along with several other groups deemed inferior. It is important to remember that not all people went to concentration camps, or even ghettos. In fact, some people narrowly escaped these encounters and used their life after the war to spread awareness and discuss what happens when hate goes undetected. Yesterday, I had the privilege of meeting a survivor who was born in Bulgaria, a country where at the last second the government overturned the deportations of hundreds of Jews to their deaths.
I was born during the war, 1940, which was a year after the Germans took over Bulgaria and Poland and so forth. My father, my grandfather, and the rest of my family had the big Star of David on their coats, which was mandatory in 39 and on. Next to my house was a big school that the Germans took over. For some reason, one day, I remember that, I decided to throw a stone at one of the windows of these offices. So in my mind, I was a big Nazi fighter. I figured out why they want to hurt my family and so forth. Then I'm going to hurt them, throwing stones at each other over their little kids.
I've heard a lot of survivor stories either online or sometimes in person. So what makes your story different from theirs? I know that you did not go to a camp yourself.
In the very last minute, there was a deal made that the Bulgarian king decided to make a deal with the Germans. You want 50,000 Jews? Get them from Macedonia. 30% of my people, the Jews in Bulgaria, were already at the train station. They remove all the Jews from the trains and send them home. But under one condition, that the Jews are not going to get into these trains, but every able young man and even old man will go into working camps, because the German had to do something to feel good about it, So it was like you work 8 hours and then you go to whatever housing you have there, and the food is okay. And they took a lot of pictures with their police and military Bulgarian people, so it was not such a bad thing.
What can young people do to learn or help prevent something like this from happening again?
First of all, the young people had to somehow cut the ignorance of their parents and grandparents about what happened to different people, from the Armenians to the Jews to the Biafran to the people in China now, There's always some little guy that the big guy, for different reasons, want to get rid of them. Now, how do you go to a little kid in first grade or even third grade and tell them, listen, what happened to the Jews was terrible, and what happened to the Africans that were enslaved in this country for many years, how do you deal with that? A little kid will not understand anything. But young people in high school and in universities and colleges, they have to have voluntarily access to stuff like that, like we have now, like books, like movies, but this is a very little minuscule situation that the information get there.
how can we teach maybe kids 10 and younger about such a tragic event and other genocides?
I'll start with my closest friends and girlfriends and boyfriends and check the water, See if after you talk to me and after you know what you know, can you relay a message to them? And see there, maybe they tell you to bug off, who knows? But maybe not. It depends. If you come up with stories like I do here, that are real life and so forth, maybe they'll listen to you because it's something that they cannot even imagine happen.
What is the most important part that people should really take away from these stories? And
I tell you what is the best thing. The creation of Israel. You go over there and you see proud people. But also in Israel, there is a big relationship to what happened with the Nazis. Because everybody in Israel today, especially the Ashkenazi Jews and backgrounds, have some kind of relationship to somebody that his family disappeared.
As the number of years since the Holocaust has increased, the number of survivors living today to tell their story has dwindled. Therefore, it is up to us as young individuals to listen to these stories, to follow them, to listen to their advice, and to spread these stories to other people around the world. Because if we don't, nobody else will. And then history is bound to repeat itself. By standing up with people who feel victimized, marching with them, understanding how they're feeling, by spreading stories of Holocaust survivors and other genocide survivors, by spreading kindness and compassion in our community, and by realizing that we are not the only group to set foot on this earth, can really decline the amount of hate in our world. And therefore, this will make a brighter future for ourselves, our children, and our children's children to live in this world and feel safe. Reporting for WAHS News, I'm Drew Bank, Plantation, Florida.